Hi there YouTube, Joel from Jonesy's. Thanks for checking out this video. We have brought back Tom, the Ford Cummins swap, the Fummins build that we finished up a couple years ago. It's got two videos in this series already, one kind of going over the mechanical and the second one going over kind of interior and bumpers. And this one is the finale. So Tom came back to us in need of some maintenance and some service. And so I thought it would be a good opportunity to talk to the owner about what he likes and what he doesn't like about the truck and the build, as well as give you guys an update as to how it's been doing over the last couple years. So stick around and thanks for watching. So hopefully you guys took the time and checked out part 1 and part 2 of this series. And you'll probably notice some differences. The first is we upgraded and went with a Raptor style grill that actually works really, really well. One of the main motivations for that upgrade was we had a very minor overheating issue with the other style grill. And we opted for this one, number one, because it looks really good, and number two, it doesn't block the airflow nearly as much as the other style grill. So I think that was a nice improvement. So coming around, you'll also notice that the truck has been painted. So went back with the factory, I believe it's Oxford white paint coat on it. And just, I love white trucks. They're super clean, easy to maintain. Touch up is straightforward. But yeah, we repainted that exterior of it and it just looks fantastic. Got the correct badging on it. So Cummins, Fummins diesel. So that turned out really, really nice. Coming to the back here, of course, we have the move bumpers, we have the super hitch, and we have finalized some of the installation details, like this is the main battery cable power tap. Also rear backup camera. There is a front camera on the front bumper. And then we finished off the bed with a spray and liner as well as a rubber mat. So all that turned out and looks really, really good. Now this was a work truck, so still have some dents in the wheel wells, but the bed liner on it just kind of finishes everything off. Let's pop the hood and we'll go over some of the details in there. This truck has had about 20,000 miles put on it since the swap, and it's just been a workhorse. It's worked really, really well for the owner. So in the last video, there was quite a bit of stuff that was still not quite finalized. So number one, you can see we fabricated a coolant reservoir can to get rid of the original 7.3 one that we kind of just temporarily had in there. Also got the batteries all completely secured over here, and then totally tidied up all the wiring. So the wiring is all 100% now. It's all wrapped in loom. On this side of the truck, you can see we've got a main mega fuse, and then this cable right there that goes to a solenoid is for the rear battery connection in the rear. So you can run jumper cables in the back. You could put a winch in there. It's just really, really nice to have have battery connections at the rear of the truck. So that pretty much kind of wraps up engine compartment. We were able to reuse the factory Ford fan shroud and running the stock Dodge fan hub. Obviously our high mount kit for the air conditioning bracket that can be purchased through Adventure Vehicles Northwest. And then a lot of the rest of the stuff is just pretty much factory Ford stuff. So let's take you inside. You guys got to see this on the last video, and after 20,000 miles, I will say that that SEMS product that we used to coat all of the interior plastic pieces has just held up extremely well. One of the things I absolutely love about this truck is the switch panel right here, as well as the air for the air system. There you can see it. All that stuff came out of a F650. Kenwood stereo for the backup cameras. It's just the interior on this really turned out really nice. Seats came from leather seats with the custom two-tone and the perf. We do have a new steering wheel on order that's been back ordered forever, so not sure when that's going to arrive, but when that comes, we'll upgrade the steering wheel. But that's kind of going to wrap up the interior. I think now, since you guys have seen the outside of it, we're going to go inside and we'll do a little question and answer with the owner and talk a little bit more about the details of this truck. So before we go in and do the question and answer about the build with Steve, we're going to take Tom here for a test drive. So hopefully you guys will be able to hear and enjoy driving this truck. Exhaust brake is one of my favorite features about this truck. These things are known to eat brakes, but man, when you use the exhaust brake as much as Steve does, what would you say, at least doubles the life of your brakes?
At least doubles. We just checked the brake pads on it, and after 20,000 miles, it's still about 3/4 of the brake pad are left.
Yeah, that's impressive longevity on a front brakes. Complain that these 24 valves are too noisy, but inside this truck we put a whole bunch of sound deadener, and it's actually really comfortable in terms of sound level. And you can hear the turbo, you can hear the engine. It's really, if you're a diesel guy and you like to listen to that stuff, this just has such a really good tone to it. Hopefully that comes across in the video. Let's head back to the shop and now we'll start the interview. Okay guys, this is Steve McElhose. He is the proud owner of Project Tom, the 2000 Ford F250 Superduty that we installed the Cummins diesel out of a school bus. So this is going to be kind of a Q&A. Hopefully you guys will get some good information here from the owner's perspective. And actually, Steve here really helped, worked right alongside us during the whole build process. So he was able to do a lot of the work. You know, we did a lot of the heavy lifting because we have all the equipment, but he was able to handle the vast majority of all the wiring, as well as a lot of the other plumbing and installation stuff. So let's just kick it off with first question. Why did you decide to build a Fummins?
Hey, YouTube, you know, that's a good question. So I'd always had new trucks and spent the big money on the new trucks, and just got to where you can't really work on them. They're so electronic and etc. that wanted to go retro with it. The Cummins is a great engine, and that Ford F250 is a great chassis. So just wanted to make the best of both worlds.
So we kind of, the truck itself is kind of a unicorn. It started out as, like I said, 2000 Ford F250, and it had the 7.3 liter with the 6-speed manual transmission. So a lot of the diehard Ford guys are just going to say, well, you should have kept the 7.3 because there's a big following on that. But in your past experience, Steve, you've had many Dodges.
Yeah.
Any other trucks besides Dodges, pretty much? Is this your first Ford?
This is the first Ford I've had. I've always had the Dodges for that Cummins motor. It's very simple. It's easy. Ton of power, a lot of torque. Performance is incredible. So the 7.3 was tired in this truck. It was done.
Yeah. How many miles did the chassis have on it when we started?
Yeah. So it's about 316,000 miles on the chassis and the motor.
And the truck actually came from Maryland, so it did have some surface rust. But during the whole build process, I was just impressed with how well built that Ford platform is.
Absolutely. It's just a solid, well-built truck that's gonna last for years.
Exactly. And then with the manual transmission, it's just, like I said, it's kind of the holy grail of trucks. So how did you choose the 24 valve versus a regular 12 valve?
So really had the opportunity of that school bus, which had the 24 valve in it. The 24 valve has a few benefits with the electronic. It's not overly complicated with all the ECM, etc. on it, but it had some nice features like high idle, had cruise control built in, some features there that just really added to the whole package.
So were you scared at all running the 24 valve because of the dreaded VP44 pump?
You know, it's a little bit nervous on that, but the lift pump had been replaced on this motor. It's got good fuel pressure, so really gonna just run it till it won't run anymore.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a long time. So next question. Everybody always wants to know, what do you love about the truck? What do you not love about the truck? And what would you do differently?
So what I love about that truck is the onboard air system and the capacity of the onboard air. I actually got a fairly large boat that I hauled out and ended up hooking a DA sander up to that onboard air and ran that for a good portion, about half a day. And that air system was able to keep up with running a DA sander.
So to kind of elaborate a little bit on the air system, the compressed air system, I think I went over some of those details in the first video. But because this engine came out of school bus, it had air brakes. And so it has a mechanical driven air compressor. And we were able to keep all of those components. So the Tom actually has about 120 psi max pressure at all times, and we ran an air coupler into the rear so you can pump up tires and do things like that. And then also it runs the air actuated exhaust brake. So air system is really a nice feature on that truck.
Absolutely.
So next question, well, we'll elaborate a little bit more. What would you do differently?
You know, there really isn't anything I would do differently. The foundation of the truck build itself is solid and just well put together. So there's nothing major that I would do differently on the truck.
Okay. What are the plans forward for the truck? Are you done building it? Are you going to do anything else on it? Any changes you might want to make or improve?
Really, no. The steering wheel, which you mentioned in the earlier in the video, that's hopefully coming. Put some new headlights on it. Those are a bit worn. I hadn't done that yet. And then possibly plumb in an air chuck on the front of the truck.
Okay, so a quick coupler for an air hose to run on the front. That would make sense.
Yeah.
So everybody wants to know about cost. Tell us a little bit about cost. Now, for full disclosure, like I built this truck in my shop. We used my stuff, but Steve did help a lot. So he was kind of a DIY on a lot of this build. Obviously, we worked together on all the custom fabrication stuff, engine mounts, things like that. But what's your advice for somebody coming in trying to do a project like this?
There's everybody always has a budget in mind, but once you fully commit, it is what it is, and you just got to follow it through until you're done. Be smart on the parts and pieces and where you get them, but yeah, it's hard to say what each project is so different and the time it takes, and it is what it is.
Yeah. Okay. That's good advice, because everybody wants to know what the end dollar amount is. And unfortunately on these custom builds, you just have no way of knowing that until you sit down and add it all up. But with that said, it was worth it. Absolutely.
The truck is incredible. Fuel mileage on it is in the high teens, low 20s, depending on how much you engage that pedal on the right. Towing capacity, I've hauled 15,000 pound boats, 15,000, 18,000 pounds of hay with that truck, and it pulls like nothing else. So it's a great build. No complaints or regrets with the build.
So to elaborate a little bit on the fuel economy, that engine actually has some upgraded injectors. You want to tell us a little bit more about what the specs are on the injectors?
Yeah, so we ended up going with 100 horsepower over injectors on it. We kept the stock turbo. It blows a little bit of smoke. Could probably upsize the turbo a little bit, but we opted not to. We're trying to find a balance of reliability and power. Didn't want to go too extreme with it and sacrifice reliability.
Sure. So you think that engine coming out of the school bus was rated 235 horsepower or thereabouts?
Yeah, I think it was actually on the data plate was 250.
Oh, okay.
250-ish, somewhere.
So now conservatively, you're 300 plus.
Correct. Yeah.
And one of I'll just kind of elaborate a little bit more on the tune aspect of it. The industrial engines that came in the school bus have a completely different control system than what is in the Dodge trucks. So your edge tuners and your other power adders are not applicable.
Right.
So the only thing we really did was, like I said, like Steve said, add those 100 horsepower injectors, and left everything else exactly the way that it was.
Yeah, we reached out to Edge. We reached out to all the tuner manufacturers, and nobody had a tune for that industrial application. So
yeah, and that actually kind of leads to one of the things that was a little source of frustration. We are not currently able to retrieve any of the diagnostics. You want to go into that, Steve?
Yeah, correct. So at this point, we're still working on the connectivity of for diagnostics and hooking into the diagnostics port. We've attempted to connect several of the industrial diagnostic tools, and it's just have not been able to establish that communication yet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that we're going to wrap this thing up. You have any other words of wisdom for anybody that's considering building a Fummins or doing a diesel swap or anything like that?
It's a fun project. It's exciting to see it through from start to finish. Once you commit, you just got to commit and go for it, because you'll be happy with the end result.
Great. Well, thanks, Steve. Appreciate the opportunity to build you an awesome truck. And I'm really excited that you've put as many miles on it as you have, and that it has performed as well as it has. So thanks for watching, you guys. Hopefully you liked this video. If you did, hit the subscribe button, and we will see you on the next one.